Okay. Oh, recording in progress. Very good. Well, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Thanks for joining this morning, January's coffee chat with the Michigan Lean Consortium. I'm Holly Plaga, and I am the chair of the MLC. And, you know, as Lean practitioners, we spend a ton of time guiding and coaching and investing in others. And frankly, I'm so glad that you're joining us this morning to take time to invest in yourself. So I have the great pleasure of introducing this morning's speaker, Cheryl Underwood. And besides bringing amazing light displays and wonderful gardens to our community, Cheryl is the executive director of investments at Oppenheimer Co right here in East Lansing. Cheryl is here today to share with us how to save, grow, and preserve our assets. So please welcome Cheryl Underwood.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. I'm unfortunately having some technical difficulties. I told the ladies earlier that I did take a shower this morning, but for whatever reason, I cannot get my my camera to work. So I said I'm wonderful at investments, but terrible at technology. So I'd love to make this as interactive as possible. And I welcome your questions. Please feel free to interrupt me. This is your presentation. Any questions that you have, I welcome them. So just a little bit about me. I'm going to be 58 years old next month, and I grew up in Hazlet, Michigan. I actually lived in Hazlet my whole entire life. I still live there, and I used to work with a place called MERS, Municipal Employees Retirement System of Michigan. And then I've also worked with other investment firms. And I started out doing retirement investing with very, very large municipal plans, like cities and libraries and so on, and employee plans. So I, 6 years ago, decided that I no longer wanted to work with those large plans. It was very corporate. It was very political. And I decided to move into the private sector or retail sector and work with individuals, helping individuals and their families invest funds. And it's been such a rewarding experience. So if someone could just click to the next, thank you very much. So saving, growing, and preserving your assets. So I know that saving for retirement can be very overwhelming. There's so many different tax structures and investment products, economics, market indices, and so many confusing related terms. Not knowing where to begin often paralyzes the average investor for fear of making the wrong investment choices. So the biggest mistake that people make when investing is not getting started. They don't know what to do, and so they don't do anything at all. They're so fearful that they're going to make the wrong call that they don't do anything. So I designed this presentation to help be a tool for the average investor to just start off with, what kind of questions do I ask a financial advisor when I'm interviewing them? And what are some of the frequently asked questions that I hear? And I'm going to give you some of those answers. And then if you have questions of your own, please feel free to ask. So the next slide starts out, investing is confusing. So where do I begin? If you want to switch the slide for me, that'd be great. Thank you. Should be the investing is confusing slide.
You're on mute.
Not me.
No, yeah, Jane is. Jane on mute.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you for your help. So investing is very confusing. Where do I begin? So whether you're a new investor starting out or you have a complicated history with various locations of investment products all over the place, it's really important to have a master plan. And a financial advisor can help you to build that financial plan and have a strategy to help secure your financial future. There's a lot of changes that happen in our lives, and it's important to get some guidance. Knowing what types of products to invest in during fluctuating market conditions and during the various stages of our life can make a significant impact on the performance of your investments. So an advisor can offer some guidance and help when the markets are volatile, and can also help you make some people make common mistakes when they're investing, and we can help by eliminating those catastrophic emotional investment mistakes that happen, especially when the market is down. So choose an advisor who teaches you and provides some explanations, not one who's simply trying to sell you investment products. It's a myth that you need a lot of money to get the help of a financial advisor. While there are some advisors that have account minimums, there are plenty out there who will partner with you and help you preserve your assets and build them regardless of your starting value. And many of those advisors will offer you a free consultation. So, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I need a ton of money to get the help of a financial advisor, or a financial advisor is going to charge me a ton of money and it won't be worthwhile. Those are definitely myths that you want to try to get through. The next page, please. Excellent. So the very most important question that you can ask a financial advisor is, are you a fiduciary? A fiduciary is required by law to work in your best interest, and not all financial advisors are fiduciaries. If a financial advisor is a fiduciary, they will recommend investment products that are best suited for you and in your best interest. Non-fiduciary financial advisors may recommend products that are suitable for you, but not necessarily the best interest of you. They may be benefiting themselves more than you. Fiduciary standards, they're required to place the client's interests ahead of their own, disclose all important facts, including their fees, reveal any potential conflicts of interest, follow the client's instructions, and never use a client's assets to benefit themselves or another client. And you'd be surprised at how much that happens. If someone thinks that the value of a stock is going to go up or down, they can make some changes. They can make some stock decisions, and that'll affect other clients. So next page, please. So how do you get paid? You're a financial advisor. How do you get paid? How are you going to make the money? How are you going to make money off of me? Financial advisors can make money in a variety of ways. They can make an hourly wage, a specific fee for a specific service. They can get paid a percentage of assets of the overall account that they're managing, or they can get paid a commission on specific financial products that they're selling. The last two are the most common fee structures. The way advisors get paid can affect the recommendations that they make. If they earn a commission by selling certain products, they may be incented to sell those products regardless if it's in your best interest. Mm-hmm. If they're paid a fee on each trade that they make, then they have an incentive to trade a lot, even if you're better off with a buy and hold strategy. Some firms have proprietary products, and those products at those firms, the advisor actually gets paid more to sell them. So you want to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. Unlike a commission-based fee advisor, advisors who are paid a managed fee, it's a fixed percentage on the overall assets in your account. So if your account loses value, the advisor loses income. If your account gains value, the advisor's income increases. So you've probably heard some commercials on TV. We win when you win. We lose when you lose. This type of a management fee provides the advisor with a great incentive to perform in your best interest. They do not get paid a higher amount to sell specific products. They only make money when you make more money. Any questions about that?
I think it's really interesting, and I guess I didn't understand all of that. I was just watching the Bernie Madoff series on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's very interesting. What is like the best rate people can expect to get from their investment? Because like they talked about, Bernie was giving his clients like 1% a month, and people in the industry said that was unheard of, that no one could keep that kind of level up. So I wondered what was typical.
So are you talking about the fee that he was receiving from the clients, or are you talking about the investment returns that he was providing to the clients?
I think it was the returns they were talking about.
Right. So the investment returns, if they sound too good to be true, then more than likely they're too good to be true. That Bernie Madoff situation, and I'm actually gonna mention him down the road.
Okay.
I've actually in my presentation, I do make mention of him. So once I get to that area, I'll touch on that, because that is very, very important. If you want to move to the next screen.
Yeah, sorry, Cheryl, didn't mean to jump ahead.
Oh, no.
My husband wanted to watch the series last night, so we started it.
Oh, it's awesome. But there's specific things that I'd like to mention about that. And that was a nightmare. I mean, that was just awful. So what are your credentials? And as you can see, we're moving into that area. People should have been asking Bernie Madoff some of these questions. And so what are your credentials? The Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, it regulates all of us. Anyone who is a financial advisor or gives financial advice of any kind has to be accredited with one or more of these registrations. So you see the 3 registrations there. Also, financial advisors can be licensed in insurance products. So they can also sell life, health, and accident insurance, as well as annuities. In order to sell annuities, you actually have to have both your insurance license and your investment registrations. You can move to the next one. So what are your firm's credentials? All right, so it's important to know that you're working with an individual that has the proper credentials. Also, investment advisors have to continue every year with continuing education. At my firm, we're constantly getting education that we have to perform every single month. So it's an ongoing thing. And that's important because you need to know that the person that you're working with is up on everything. So what are your firm's credentials? So you know what your individual credentials are, but what about the firm behind you? And here's where we're going to talk a little bit about Bernie Madoff, because Bernie Madoff had all the individual credentials that he needed to be a financial advisor. But what are your firms? What's your firm's track record? Does your firm have a lengthy track record investing assets through bull and bear markets? A bull market being a highly performing or positive performing market, and a bear market being an underperforming or negative market. And we've seen a bear market this past year in 2022. Has it survived economic downturns? Is it a national firm with a good reputation? How many assets does your firm have under administration, and where are they located? So just an example, I did my due diligence 6 years ago when I changed firms and went with Oppenheimer. I had worked at a very small firm with only 2 billion assets under management at one point in time in the past. And they didn't have the credentials, they didn't have the reputation. And so one of the big reasons that I moved to Oppenheimer was because they were a highly respected, leading full service brokerage and investment bank. They have a 140-year history and over 100 billion clients under administration, with offices throughout the country and even overseas. So Bernie Madoff was kind of a one-man show. Okay. He had the personal and the professional credentials himself, but his firm was relatively isolated. Okay. It was him and his sons and a couple other people. And so they were able to get by with a lot of crazy stuff. I remember back in 2008 and 2009, during the financial crisis, there were a lot of firms that went belly up. And what happened with Madoff is that he kept fabricating statements and showing people that they were getting a rate of return that was not realistic. Okay. But he would fabricate these statements and send them out to other clients. And on paper, he looked fabulous. Oh my gosh. I'd get a statement in the mail if I was Bernie's client, and it would say, oh, I'm getting a 20% rate of return this month. Oh my gosh, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. But it was all on paper. So what happened back in 2008 and 2009, people started freaking out. Okay. And they started taking their money out. They started asking him to remove their assets. They were getting nervous. So what happened was he ended up not having the money there to liquidate and give the clients the money. So that's when his scheme became uncovered, when he didn't actually have the liquidity within his firm to give these people their money.
Cheryl, that's a really good point. When everything's going great, you don't really go, but when you don't make money or invest, or you don't have that increase in your investment month to month, you start questioning things and asking questions. So yeah, typically when you're making money, or when it appears you're making money,
right?
Kind of like us guys when we're going through our metrics and everything's green.
Yeah. Well, it was all hunky dory until more than 2 or 3 people wanted their money. I mean, so, I've got clients that call me and say, hey, I need $20,000. I need you to liquidate 20 grand out of my account. I need, $50,000 out of my account. Or somebody dies and they want to liquidate, and their beneficiaries want the money in cash, so on and so forth. Well, that's all fine when you have 100 billion assets under administration and you have legitimate assets. But when you're not legitimate, then all of a sudden, everybody started to inundate him and ask for their money. And when he didn't have it, that's when it all became apparent that it was a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
So one thing to look out for. And I've actually heard horror stories locally. I had a girlfriend that had invested money with an individual in this area, in the East Lansing area. She had like $1 million. He wasn't with a large firm, and she kept getting statements. Everything was fine. The guy died, and he didn't have any money. He was broke. He never was investing her money. So there's just some crazy stories out there.
Yeah.
If you could please flip to the next slide. So ask a financial advisor, what services do you provide? Some advisors set up a financial plan, legacy plans, meaning a plan, what they're going to leave for their children or their grandchildren. Some manage your assets and provide ongoing consulting, and some only give advice. Many advisors have specific areas of expertise. It's important to know exactly what you can expect. So make sure your advisor's taking care of your specific needs and actually cares about you, cares about your family, cares about what your grandchildren are going to receive if you pass. Is your financial advisor explaining per stirpies and beneficiary options to you to make sure your money's going to go where you want it to go when you pass, or when your children pass? Is it going to go down to their children? Those are really important questions. And some investment advisors are just investing your money. They're not helping you to make sure that your money is going to where you want it to go when you pass. So what is your investment philosophy? A prudent investment advisor will tailor their advice to fit your needs and your long-term goals, your objectives. However, it's important to stick with an investment advisor whose overall philosophy matches your own. So if you like simple, understandable investments, then you're going to go crazy with a financial advisor who's going to take excessive risks, who's going to do a lot of short selling in your portfolio, who's going to be on the next, this one's going to give you great performance. Anyone who likes complicated strategies, if you're not that kind of a person and they're moving money around frequently, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to get very nervous. So ask them how they're going to invest your money. And this will provide you with some valuable insight as to their philosophy. You should be able to understand their recommendations and reviews and feel comfortable asking questions. Next slide, please. So how are you going to pick investments for me? So you should be able to ask your financial advisor, how are you going to construct my portfolio? How are you going to choose for me? A good investment advisor will recommend diversifying your investments based on your age and risk tolerance, your short and long-term objectives, tax considerations. They're not going to put all your money in one basket. And I don't care how well any stock, any bond, or any mutual fund is doing. I don't care how well it's doing. All your money does not go into that one investment. Buying different types of investments is crucial in reducing your overall risk. And so don't be afraid to ask, how do they differ? Having your assets at several different firms. So if you have assets, you have 401k here, you have a 401k at this firm, you have an IRA over at another firm, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're well diversified, because you can have similar investment products, similar mutual funds, similar stocks at various investment firms or locations or banks. So having one investment advisor overseeing your entire portfolio can be beneficial, because he or she can develop a financial plan, based on your personal objectives, construct a diversified portfolio with varying products. So each product within your portfolio should have a different job to do within that portfolio. You should have some value. You should have some growth-oriented funds and technology. You should have some smaller companies, larger companies. So there should be a diversification within your portfolio, and each one of those products will do a different job so that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So an advisor can also explain what the products do, both individually and collectively within your account, so that they're overall reducing the risk in your portfolio and giving you the greatest potential for long-term performance. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Well, I have some questions. The next slide, please. So frequently asked questions. My plan is to try to anticipate what your questions are going to be for me. So I have people that ask me the same questions over and over, and this is the top one. I have had a lot of girlfriends come to me, and over the course of their careers, they're in their 50s now, and over the course of their career, they've They've had several jobs and they've left behind a graveyard of 401k plans at various locations. And
Oh,
the
I did that.
problem, yeah, the problem with that is that no one is watching them, no one is overseeing them, no one is making recommendations when interest rates rise. What's going on with the investments in that portfolio? No one knows because they don't know and they don't know what to do with it. And they don't know what to do with it, so they just leave it there. And it's not performing as well as it could be if it was actively managed by someone. So if I have a 401k plan or several of them from previous places of employment, and I also have funds that are not being attended to at other institutions, I'm overwhelmed. What can I do? Excuse me. So a very popular solution to this problem is to open up an IRA. If you open up one individual retirement account, you can consolidate all of those plans into one. They can be rolled into one IRA seamlessly without any tax consequences. And just because your funds are in one account does not mean that they are not diversified. You can open one IRA and have many different types of products or securities within that account. A financial person can assist you in choosing the most suitable funds within that account and then actively manage it so that you're making the most potential money possible in that account. Any questions on that one? You guys are way too easy this morning.
No, this is interesting.
Question number 2 that I've heard about 100 times in 2022. I'm nervous about the decline in my retirement and investments. Should I sell my funds? Well, first of all, I'm gonna a side note before I answer that question. So if the market is doing well overall, you hear the S&P 500 is doing really well and it's positive returns, and you hear the NASDAQ is doing well, meaning technology stocks. And you look at your account when your statement comes in the mail and your account is not doing well, then you have a problem, okay? Then you have a problem. You need to look to your financial person and say, why am I down when the market is up? Okay. But if we have a year, I'm sorry, you can change to the next slide. So if we're down like we were in 2022 and overall everything was down, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, everything was down. Should you sell your funds? I'm paranoid. Oh my gosh, my funds are doing terrible. I need to get rid of them. I need to sell. I need to go to cash because I continue to lose more money. I'm going to keep losing money. No, don't do that. This is one of those catastrophic errors that we see people make. Unsophisticated investors get fearful when the market starts to drop and they sell right at the wrong time. If there's a drop in the market and your funds have declined in value temporarily, you don't actually realize a loss in your account unless you sell those funds. So hold them unless your objectives have suddenly changed. Selling when the values are low, it locks in that loss. When the market does come back, you're no longer invested in the market and you lose the opportunity to regain that lost value. If you could change to the next page, please.
Yeah, so Cheryl, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Because like one of the things, it seems like your financial manager will always say that you have a balanced portfolio and that's why they work on it. And that's why some don't make money and others do because you want to have it balanced. But in 2022, there wasn't any place to hide and everybody seemed to have lost money.
For sure. But you know what, Jane? The key, you made a very important point. So if you're losing money, how much money are you losing? I know it sounds crazy, but some people lost 30%. Some people lost 17%. And when we say lost, let's use a different term. Let's say their portfolio declined in value. Okay, they didn't actually lose any money. It's only on paper unless they sell it. So they
Right.
still have the opportunity, if they stay invested in the market, to come back. Okay. So
So you're saying don't panic, which is basically what we're hearing.
everyone was panicking. Not everybody, but the majority of people were panicking. Everyone was getting very nervous. And if you think about it, we had a 10-year bull market for the most part. I mean, we've seen nothing but positive returns. There was one fund that had a 44% rate of return when the market was doing well. So you get accustomed to that. You get very confident, comfortable with that. And then bam, all of a sudden your portfolio declines in value. The important thing to look at is how much did your portfolio decline in value? So if you're a good financial advisor or you're a good portfolio manager, you're going to have your assets diversified. Okay. So this is a perfect situation of, did you have all your eggs? Let me just step back. So there's a mutual fund called Growth Fund of America, and I absolutely love it. It's a technology-based mutual fund with Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Tesla. Okay. It did extremely well over the past several years. It had some of the highest rates of return overall, okay, compared to other mutual funds. And it rocked it. Okay, so why wouldn't I put all of my clients' money in that particular fund? Okay, because at the beginning of 2022, we saw the market shift. We saw the tide turn, and that fund went down, and other funds that weren't performing as well started to pick up and perform very well. They began to outperform the Growth Fund of America. And it happened very quickly, okay? Like a teeter-totter, boom, it flipped. And so if you had all of your money in the Growth Fund of America back in 2020, 2021, you would have had incredible rates of return. But in 2022, you would have lost 30% of your portfolio had you had all your money invested in Growth Fund of America. Okay. Yeah. So in a balanced portfolio, you have some money in Growth Fund of America. You have some money in value funds. You have some money in other baskets, so that you had that rate of loss, the underperformance rather, is averaged out. So you have some funds that lost 30% value. You have some funds that lost 5% value. Your portfolio as a client should be somewhere in between. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So timing the market or trying to buy low and sell high is not a prudent strategy. Stock prices change very rapidly, excuse me, making it impossible to accurately and consistently determine when a security has hit its lowest or highest point. Many of the best days in the market have come right after the worst days. According to a study, 6 of the very best days performance-wise occurred within 2 weeks of the very lowest performing days, 10 days. So you call me and tell me to sell everything, okay? Oh my gosh, Cheryl, sell my entire portfolio because it's continuing to decline in value. And I had clients that told me this in 2022, panicking. So you call me and you say, sell everything. And because my portfolio is going to continue to decline in value and I don't want to lose anymore. Okay. You haven't lost anything. It's just declined in value temporarily. Hold on. But if you say, nope, I'm not going to listen to you, sell it all, then I will sell it all. Okay. And then you're out of the market. And then all of a sudden, bam, we hit the bottom the next day. And it immediately starts to bounce back. The market starts to outperform. And typically it bounces back very quickly. And you get the best investment returns the first few days, even weeks into a recovery. Well, you're not in the market. So you have missed the opportunity to regain what you lost by selling. By the time you call me and say, oh, I want to get back in the market's already regained maybe 15 or 20%. And boom, you've lost it. So when you construct a diversified portfolio of investments to withstand market declines from the very beginning, then it's best to hold those investments until your objectives have changed. A well-constructed portfolio held for a number of years has historically proven to provide a greater performance return than those who try to jump in and out of the market, timing the market. And I have had clients that want to do that. And it drives me absolutely crazy because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Staying in the market for a long period of time is the best thing. They say time in the market is key, not timing the market, because the market has never returned less than 7% rate of return over any 10-year rolling period. So if you're staying in the market and we have a blip, 2022, bam, it was down, 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever. Stay in the market because the other years before and after it will average that return out. And it's never returned less than 7% over any rolling 10-year period. Any questions? Everyone awake?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference if we go to the next screen?
I was just gonna say, I was wishing my mother was on this call listening to it, so she wouldn't be hounding me every time she sees all the stocks go up and down.
Oh, I know, it's frightening. What's the difference between a stock, bond, and mutual fund? Okay, that sounds very fundamental and very simple, but it's worth going over. A stock is actually you're buying a piece of the company. It's very, very clear. You're just actually buying one piece of that company. A bond is a little bit more complicated because it's a loan from an investor, you, to a borrower, such as a company or a government. And the borrower uses that money to fund its operations. And then you, the investor, receive interest on that investment. And then at some point in the future, the principal of that loan is paid back to you, the investor, at a preset time. So you're basically lending somebody some money for a period of time, and you're getting an interest rate, just like any bank would, if like a car loan situation. But you're the one actually lending the money to the borrower. A mutual fund is basically just a basket full of securities that's actively and professionally managed by a group of money managers. So a mutual fund is actually more diverse. If you have a portfolio full of mutual funds as opposed to stocks, your mutual fund portfolio is more diverse than buying a stock, okay? Because a mutual fund is typically made up of many, many, many different pieces of a company. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? One thing that's of note is that the taxing, tax differences. When you hold a stock for a number of years and it increases in value. You don't pay any taxes on it until you sell it. Okay. So you don't pay any capital gains until you sell the stock. So stock portfolios can be passed from generation to generation, and you'll never have to pay any taxes on it unless you actually sell it. Whereas a mutual fund, you typically end up paying each year, you'll pay capital gains on a mutual fund.
Okay.
So if we go to the next.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind,
Yes,
on the
sure.
bond. So other than I bonds, which can be purchased directly through Treasury Direct, are there
Yes,
other ways where we can easily buy corporate debt?
corporate debt. Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely. I mean, you can go out and buy corporate debt, anywhere. Those I bonds, those are specific. You can only buy those through the Treasury, and there's also a limit on the number you can buy. I don't know if you're aware of that, but they will.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So they'll only let you buy like $15,000 worth of an I bond, unless you're using tax proceeds.
Okay.
So the next slide is going into cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is an example of cryptocurrency. And I get a lot of questions about this. Should I buy it? Excuse me. So, first of all, what is it? Cryptocurrency, it's a digital currency. They are an alternative form of payment created using encryption algorithms. They function as a currency and a virtual accounting system using encryption technology. So cryptocurrency can be stored on a computer or a cloud-based service or your mobile device, and it's held within a digital wallet. So if that sounds obscure, it is. and that's one of the reasons that it's very volatile. You can't reach out and touch Bitcoin. You can't reach out and touch cryptocurrency. Our firm will not allow us to sell cryptocurrency because of that. So there's a great deal of hype to buy cryptocurrency due to its growth potential, but there's a significant risk associated with it. And the reason that our firm is 140 years old is because it doesn't get involved in risky business. All right. One of the risks of cryptocurrency is losing your digital wallet or your access to it. And if this happens, you're out of luck. You've lost your entire investment. There's nothing you can do to retrieve it. In addition, they're relatively new technology-based funds that can also be hacked. So this, together with the fact that they're typically uninsured and difficult to convert into tangible currency, such as US dollars, it makes it very volatile. Next slide, please. Suddenly my throat's going crazy. So another question, and this is the last question answer, we're almost to the end. So I get a lot of questions on annuities, a lot. I have a lot of clients that come to me with annuities. And so here's a question. I was recently approached by a friend who suggested I buy an annuity. The guaranteed rate of return sounded so good. Should I buy it? My answer to that is no. Don't buy an annuity until you've at least consulted with another financial professional. They're very complicated insurance and investment products. They're all very, very different. They're not each and every one of them, they're not the same. So it's important to analyze them very thoroughly before you purchase them. Historically, they provide a very lucrative commission to the person selling you the annuity. And they've also been known to have very high fees and lower returns in the market. So The majority of annuities, in addition, have very lengthy surrender periods, meaning once you sign on that dotted line and invest your money in an annuity, you can't get the money out without waiting for several years or paying a large surrender fee. So even if the market is performing double-digit returns, you can be locked in at a very low rate of return for many years and stuck with it for an extended period of time, unless you want to pay that high surrender charge. The last slide that we're going to take a look at is just a simple graph. And I made it overly simple. If you can turn the page, that'd be great. So this is for illustrative purposes only. It's very simplified, oversimplified, but it's worth taking a peek at. So conceptually, why should you invest today? So this chart is very basic, and it shows what you would return if you invested $5 a day, making a 7% average rate of return. What would your end result be in 50 years? And if you look across the side of that chart, you see $800,000. So if you invested $5 a day, or approximately $150 per month, and you averaged a 7% rate of return, you'd be looking at having a portfolio of approximately $800,000 within 50 years. And like I said, the reason that they use that 7-year percent, you'll see that 7-year average rate of return. 7% rate of return. You will see that used time and time again, because like I said, over the history of the stock market, it has not returned less than 7% rate of return over any 10-year rolling period. Questions? Way too simple.
I have another one.
There you go. Yes.
I should apologize first. I joined a little late, so
Oh,
maybe
that's okay.
maybe you have covered this. I was curious about what are your thoughts on 529 plans?
I
specific
like them.
state? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and do you recommend any specific states plan versus, do you recommend buying the state you are living in, or you anticipate your kids going to college too?
Sure. Well, I love American funds. The Capital Group is the portfolio manager. I love their American Fund mutual funds. They're based out of New Jersey. They offer a 529 plan, and I never use it for my Michigan-based clients. I think it's a great plan, but the reason I don't is because it is based out of New Jersey. If you live in New Jersey, that's a great plan for you, but if you live in Michigan, not so much, because a 529 plan that's based, if you live in Michigan, then you are able, and you're buying a 529 plan that's based in Michigan, then you can actually write off the contributions on your taxes. So the 529 plan, you're able to invest those funds. And if, let's say, you're the parent or the grandparent, the owner of the 529 plan, you're investing money in that plan, and you're able to write those off on your taxes, all those contributions. And then you're able to grow that pot of money. That money grows over time. And when your child or beneficiary of that account ends up going to college, then they're able to use that money for tax-free, as long as they use it for educational purposes. They're able to use that money tax-free. So it's growing tax-free. You write it off on your taxes, your contributions, and then they're able to use it without any taxes when they distribute it in 18 years or whatever. Now, if that child doesn't go to college, and you have another child that's going to college, then you can transfer that 529 plan to another beneficiary. I don't know if you knew that.
What if they and I've been thinking about this. So my daughter, for the 2 grandkids, she has a, what do you want to call it? Like the life box, memory box. And so like myself and my mother and others will put cash in a card, and when they're 18, they're going to open it. But my son jokes that dollars won't, or actual physical money won't be available in 12 more years. But so I thought about, geez, should we start some type of an investment fund for them? I don't know if the 529 would be the best plan, because I can't guarantee that they would go to college.
Well,
or in Michigan. So I was just wondering, is there something else that could be done?
well, you can use it. You can use the money. The beneficiary can use the money tax-free in any state. They don't have to use it in Michigan.
Oh,
So the secret to the Michigan thing is that the person or persons making the contributions into the 529 plan, if that person lives in Michigan and the plan is based in Michigan, then that person can write that contribution off. So if you make a contribution, you can write that off on your taxes. But when the child goes to use the money, they can use it any state they want. As
Okay,
long as it's for educational purposes. So in addition to that, okay, let's say that you only have one child and you set up a 529 plan and you get to be, they're 18 years old, and they don't go to college. You can take that money out, but you're just going to pay a penalty, and you're going to pay taxes on it. So you can use that money. You can take it out at any point in time and not use it for education purposes, but then it's going to be taxable like it would be if you were taking a distribution out of your IRA.
okay. And sorry, now you just intrigued all of my interest.
I know, I got so many questions.
I was
when
intrigued
heard
all along,
that.
but now I'm more intrigued.
Yep.
So if, I'll just use the example, let's say my daughter starts the 529 for her daughter / my granddaughter. Any relative or person that wants to can, lack of terms, deposit into that plan?
Yes.
Or only the originator?
No, anyone can deposit into it. But you being the owner, if you set the account up, so typically what happens with a 529 plan is there's a person who owns the account. Okay, look, so let's say you as a grandparent own the account and you set it up and you're making contributions, and then you name your grandchild as a beneficiary. You have the ability down the road to do whatever you want with that account. If you decide you don't want to give the money to that grandchild, let's say,
Unfortunately, I think that's a true story.
I can't tell you how many weird things I've heard. And we could do a whole presentation on weird stuff and drama. Okay. But you are the account owner, and the child doesn't have any control over that account at all. It's your money and you control it. And so if they tick you off, then you can just keep the money. Or you could, you know what, if you decided you wanted to get your MBA, okay, you set that up for your grandchild, and your grandchild unexpectedly passes away, something terrible happens, whatever. That grandchild no longer exists. And you decide you're 65 years old and you want to get your MBA, or you want to go to law school or whatever. You can change the beneficiary to be yourself.
Okay.
And you can use those funds yourself for education purposes. And have the same tax-free benefit that the child would have. And you can move it around. I mean, if one kid isn't going to college, like I said, and you have 2 other kids that are going to college, you could split it between the 2 other children that are going to go to college. So
Awesome.
there's
I'm going to talk to my daughter about it, because I think it'd be great. She might not want to open the past 4 years of stuff for my granddaughter, but what a great way to start.
Yeah,
the 529 for her, and then the one for my grandson who's 2.
Yeah, it's pretty portable. It's funny. I just had a client. This is a true story, and you're gonna love this one. Okay, so this client calls me, and he's a grandparent, and he wanted to set up two 529 plans. One for his sons. Well, he has two sons. An account for each of his grandchildren, and the one, his son's wife, but they aren't married. Okay, they live together, they have a child together, but they're not married. So his son's wife, or whatever she is,
Partner.
would not provide him with the social security number of the child, refused to give him the child's social security number so that the grandparent could set up a 529 plan for the grandchild. Free money, and the mom wouldn't allow it to happen. So what we did, he said, what are we going to do? I want to create this 529 plan for this child. So what we ended up doing, I said, I'll figure this out. Give me a few days. So I call him back and I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up a 529 plan, and you're going to put not your grandchild's name as a beneficiary, but you're going to put your son as the beneficiary because you have a social security number, right? And he said, yes. So set it up in your son's name with your son's social security number. In 18 years, when the grandchild, his daughter, needs the money, then she can give you the social security number. The grandchild will be old enough to pass over the social security number so that it's portable. You can switch it from the son being the beneficiary to the daughter being the beneficiary. But who wouldn't give their social security number to get free money for their kid?
Strange.
It's very strange.
So
there's
Cheryl, I know we're close to time, but I have a question for you. Would a 529 be the right direction if you were looking to set up a student scholarship fund? So the Michigan Lean Consortium actually is developing a student scholarship fund through the Jim Manley. Jim Manley was one of our founders and heavily involved. And literally on our strategic plan, we are looking to set up some sort of scholarship, but we need to invest the money. Is a 529 directionally accurate for something like that?
Let me get back with you on that. Let me do a little bit of research.
Okay.
Because conceptually, conceptually, that's a great idea. Because then the money is growing tax-free, and the beneficiary, the child or young adult, is then able to use that money tax-free. I mean, conceptually, yeah, it sounds great, but I will have to double check and see.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'd have to see if an entity or, could be the owner. It seems like an entity, but there might be some requirements or regulatory issues with blood, like blood relatives and so on and so forth. And that would be the hang up is, you're able to portably transfer monies between blood relatives. But I don't know if you have that same portability and ability inside an entity. So I'll double check and get back with you on that.
Thank you. This is Holly, by the way.
I know. I know who you are. Oh, by the way, did you like my presentation with the graphics?
Yes, ma'am.
If you flip to the last page, please.
There we go.
We have fun here. You like the mermaid?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
That's perfect.
Is that you?
I just had to end it with the mermaid because I'm not your typical financial advisor. I'm not like too super boring and analytical acting. I like to have fun. And when we're doing investments, we're having fun. So there you
Very
go. Thank you.
This was extremely helpful, and we are a few minutes over, but does anyone have any questions before we end?
Just want to say
Cheryl,
thank
thank
you.
you so
Good.
much.
No question, very informative, very
Oh,
informative.
Thank you. I'm so glad to chat with all of you this morning and start our Friday off like this. It was very fun, and I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with all of you.
All right.
I'll send the warm weather this way from Florida, please.
Yeah.
Yes, I sure will. And I'll be
Bye.
bringing back a few mermaids.
There you go.
Perfect.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend, everyone.
You too. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.